Hello everyone, Leslie here from Message in a Fold, and it is Subscriber Question Monday, and this great question comes from Monique Miller, and she left her comment on my video for making this tag with a little flip book thing. Monique asks, thank you for the great tutorial on those cards. Question: how do you know when to trim your layers and how much would be trimmed? And thank you in advance and have a blessed day. Well, in answer to your question, Monique, and any other new card makers that are out there, this is a seemingly simple answer for a confounding question. When I started making cards, if I followed along with the person that made the card and I wrote down all the measurements and I did what they said, then everything worked out good. When I was left to my own devices, that's when the wheels fell off and things really went bad. So it's through experience, and it comes through working with your stamps or your images or paper or whatever you want to use as your focal item. For example, these are two of my most recent cards. This Umbrella Man from Tim Holtz, this image dictated the size of each one of the mats that I put underneath. The tan one, the orange one, and the brown. The width and the height plus 1/4 inch wide and tall dictated the size of the tan mat. The length is 4 1/4. So this would be 2.5 by 4.5 for that piece. 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. 3 by 5. So each measurement that I got to increase these mats, I cut each mat out first, and then I adhered them all behind the image. This focal part is 2 1/4 inches wide by 2 1/4 inches tall. So this one was pretty easy. 2.5 by 2.5, and I cut that out of the yellow. 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 was cut out of the lavender, and 3 by 3 was cut out of the orange. So measure your focal image width and height, and increase the width measurement by 1/4 of an inch. Increase the height measurement by 1/4 of an inch. And that's for your first layer that goes behind your image. Then take your first matted layer and whatever that dimension, width and height, increase 1/4 of an inch for the next layer. Increase that layer 1/4 of an inch from top to bottom. It's important that you do it this way, that you start with your focal image and work out and down to get your pieces together. I tried to wing it when I first started making cards, and that was a mess. I made it just a little bit, I made everything just a little bit too big and then it exceeded the card front, both height and width. And so I stuck it in my paper trimmer and cut it off on two sides, the top and one side, and I put it up, and That was wonky because the bottom and the left side were still too big. So I cut those off, and then I ended up cutting into the next layer, so the back layer was totally gone. And by the time I got done, I said, I'm never making cards ever again. I was so frustrated. So, to save you the problem, your focal image. Let your focal image dictate what the size of your mats are going to be. You're the designer. So design your cards and make them the way that you want them. If you like the style, if you like the, I don't know if it's called grunge or what, but where the edges are scraped, either with a Tim Holtz tool or your fingernail, or they're peeled and torn, whatever. I like clean lines, so everything that I make has squared off lines. Hey, go by what you like. If you like the vintage with all of the vintagey, worn, tore edges and all the lace and stuff, take that on. But just remember, your focal image is what dictates the mats. And cut your mats. Measure your focal image. Measure your focal image, height and width. Add 1/4 of an inch for your next layer. Cut that out. Then measure this, keep in mind the measurements of this second layer. Add 1/4 of an inch for this one and cut that out. And that will save you tons of trouble and confusion. So I hope, Monique, that this has answered your question on when to trim your layers and how much would be trimmed. So thank you, Monique, for the inspiration for today's Subscriber Question Monday. I appreciate you asking your question. Thank you for that.